We will, of course, keep a close eye on the latest unfolding in Nepal, but shifting focus now to other big developments. Explosions rocked Doha, sending plumes of smoke through the city. Israel says it was a strike against the top leadership of Hamas. The Hamas team was engaged in negotiations with other officials in the Qatari capital. And moments after the news of the explosion in Doha came in, the Israeli military announced that it has carried out attacks targeting Hamas leaders. In a statement, the IDF saying that prior to the strike, steps were taken to minimize harm to uninvolved civilians, including the use of precision weaponry and additional intelligence information. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel initiated it, Israel conducted it, and Israel takes full responsibility. The attacks coming a day after a deadly shooting in Jerusalem, a day earlier, claimed by the Palestinian militant group. Qatar has condemned the action as cowardly and called it a flagrant violation of international law. Qatar has been a key mediator, remember, in the efforts to broker a truce in Gaza. It has said that Israeli strikes targeted the homes of several members of Hamas's political bureau residing in the country where the militant group's senior leadership is based. And Israeli officials claiming that the strike was aimed at top Hamas leaders, including Khalil al-Hayya, its exiled Gaza chief and top negotiator. Two Hamas sources told Reuters that Hamas officials in the ceasefire negotiating team survived the attack. Today's strikes, Israel's first attack on the Western-backed Gulf state, coming less than 2 weeks after Israel's armed forces chief had vowed to target the group's leaders based abroad. The United Nations Secretary General in the latest condemned Israel's strikes on Qatar, calling them a flagrant violation of Doha's sovereignty. The Saudi Crown Prince, meanwhile, termed Israeli attack on Hamas in Qatar a criminal act, quote-unquote. The U.S. Embassy has said that it has seen reports of missile strikes occurring in Doha. The U.S. Embassy has instituted a shelter-in-place order for the facilities. U.S. citizens are advised to shelter in place and monitor the developments. In fact, Israel's far-right finance minister in the latest praised the targeting of Hamas leaders, including Khalil al-Hayya, the exiled Gaza chief and the top negotiator. Most of Hamas's leadership in Gaza has been killed in the war that started on October 7, 2023. While the group's political leadership abroad has mostly been untouched, the U.S. Embassy in Qatar told citizens to shelter in place. While Israeli leadership is hailing that attack on Hamas, a mother of an Israeli hostage has condemned Prime Minister Netanyahu for the attack in Qatar. Hamas, remember, still has 20 captives who are believed to be alive. The negotiations to end the Israel-Hamas war have been ongoing. Listen in to the emotional plea from the mother.
I am trembling with fear. I am trembling with fear. It could be that at this very moment, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has essentially sentenced my Matan to death. Anyone who deliberately chooses to endanger my child's life is murdering him. Why does the Prime Minister insist on blowing up every small chance for a deal? Why? My Matan's life has been in real danger for 22 months already. Until when? Again and again and again, the Prime Minister sabotages the deal, every deal that is on the table. I've had enough. Enough. The people of Israel are tired of this war. End it already and bring everyone back in a comprehensive agreement.
As Israel has been ramping up its multi-front attack in Gaza City, Israel seems to have deployed all boots on the ground to expand that operation meant to oust the people from their homeland. The Israeli military handed airdropped leaflets to the residents of Gaza City, instructing them to evacuate as soon as possible and move to a designated humanitarian zone in the Al-Mawasi area along the coast in the south, where thousands of Palestinians have already been sheltering in tents. The Israeli army also warned the non-compliance of the orders would lead it to act with great force in Gaza City. And this has put the future of thousands of Palestinians at stake. following Israeli military's evacuation orders. Dozens of Palestinians held protests in the heart of Gaza City, vowing not to leave, come what may. People gathered at Al Saraya Square, chanting, raising flags and placards to reclaim the land they call theirs.
We came here to send a message that we, in Gaza, are in a state of firmness, patience and steadfastness, and that Gaza, this beautiful city, will stay steadfast and patient. What happened in the north of Gaza, in Rafah and in Khan Yunis, will happen today in Gaza. The difference here is that the entire people in Gaza will remain steadfast and standing firm. We are not leaving. Even if we are dead, we are not leaving.
The evacuation orders have not had the same effect on everyone. Some Palestinians reeling under fear and uncertainty fled Gaza. Listen to this.
We are attempting to delay death a little longer. We have been displaced approximately 30 times, moving from one death to another, but we are trying to postpone death a little. What is the fault of these children? Why is this happening to this one and that one? Oh, Arabs, Muslims, negotiators, please find a solution for us in any possible manner.
For Gazans, displacement is nothing new. Many of them have been displaced several times since the war started in October 2023. And with much of the territory now in ruins, Palestinians fear there is no place left to go. Gaza's health authorities have said, meanwhile, that they would be evacuating Gaza City's two main operational hospitals. However, the doctors will not be leaving their patients unattended. In the past few days, the Israeli offensive in Gaza City has only intensified, with the army bombing high-rise residential towers and leveling them to ground. Reportedly, most of these structures housed those displaced. In a statement, the Israeli Prime Minister claimed that a total of 50 towers have been decimated in the Gaza Strip in the last 72 hours. He also said the attack was just a prelude to a bigger and more intense ground offensive. And according to the Gaza Health Ministry, over 64,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's war on Gaza so far. And the aggressive military reoccupation plan, combined with Israel's ruthless retaliatory threats, could very well amplify the numbers in the coming days. The Pacific is now ground zero for a new arms race as the US-China rivalry erupts beneath the waves. Beijing's silent hunters grow deadlier. American subs packing cutting-edge technology, but Washington struggling to outbuild its surging rival. With every launch and commission, the world's two superpowers are racing ahead for global naval supremacy. The ocean floor is the new frontier of global power. For decades, the US Navy's submarine force has reigned supreme, an invisible, lethal arm of American might. Now, the Americans have a new competitor. It's not the Russians, it's the Chinese who are making waves. In the last decade, China has launched new classes of nuclear and diesel-electric submarines at breakneck speed. China's new submarines are equipped with revolutionary, silent new propulsion systems. They are getting quieter and more lethal, armed with cutting-edge anti-ship missiles and now even hypersonic weapons. While the US still holds the lead in core technology, the stealth of its Virginia-class submarines remains unmatched. Its industrial base is buckling. The US struggles to produce more than a handful of new submarines a year, leaving its aging fleet vulnerable to China's relentless shipbuilding blitz. This is a cold, calculated race where a single mistake could have catastrophic consequences. Analysts warn that by 2035, China could match or even outnumber America's active fleet. Already, US commanders say Chinese subs are patrolling further, testing boundaries from Guam to the Indian Ocean. America's allies from Australia to Japan are now rushing to bolster their fleets. Canberra is investing tens of billions under the AUKUS Pact, while Tokyo expands its silent service. The arms race is heating up and becoming dangerous. The question is simple but chilling. When two giants stalk each other in the deep, how long before a shadow turns into a spark? Bureau Report, WION World is One. Switching gears for now. Russian aerial assaults continue to pummel Ukraine. In the latest, the president of Ukraine has claimed that at least 23 Ukrainians have been killed in a Russian strike in eastern Donetsk. According to Zelensky, the Russian strikes targeted ordinary civilians with an aerial bomb in the rural settlement of Yarova in the Donetsk region. Zelensky claims that the attacks took place at the very moment when the pensions were being dispersed. Russia is yet to claim the attack. Earlier, the Ukrainian Air Force claimed that Russian forces launched 84 drones overnight into Ukraine. Of these, 60 were shot down by the Ukrainian air defenses. The drones were fired from Bryansk, Kursk, Milirovo, among other areas, with 23 of them striking targets across 10 locations. Ukraine also hit back at Russia as it launched a drone attack on the Black Sea city of Sochi. Regional officials saying at least one person was killed, 6 residential houses were also damaged. Russia's defense ministry has claimed that it intercepted 31 Ukrainian drones overnight, 15 of them over the Black Sea. This comes a day after Russia launched the biggest aerial attack on Ukraine, setting the main government building on fire in central Kiev. According to the Ukrainian authorities, meanwhile, Russia launched over 800 drones and 13 missiles, raining fire across north, south and east Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the attack and stated that it used high-precision weapons and drones to strike the Ukrainian drone assembly and storage sites. Rising tensions also being felt along Russia's border with Finland. Former Russian President and Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev has accused Helsinki of preparing for war with Russia, pointing to Finland's NATO membership and what he called provocative NATO exercises. Writing in an opinion piece published by TASS, Medvedev also criticized the establishment of NATO's Land Forces Command Center in the Finnish city of Mikkeli, close to the Russian border. Both sides are visibly fortifying their positions. Last month, Finland announced new defenses along its eastern frontier, and just last weekend, Moscow revealed it also was reinforcing security measures on its border with Finland in response to what it described as Helsinki's unfriendly actions. Finland formally joined NATO in April 2023, citing its security concerns over Russia. A new scientific study has once again placed Delhi's air quality under the spotlight, and this time for an even more dangerous reason: mercury contamination in the atmosphere. Researchers at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology in Pune have found that the national capital's air carries an average of 6.9 nanograms of mercury per cubic meter. Just to put that into perspective, the Northern Hemisphere records around 1.7 nanograms, while the Southern Hemisphere averages 1.3. The findings published in the journal Air Quality, Atmosphere and Health are based on continuous monitoring of the elemental mercury, gaseous elemental mercury, between 2018 and 2024. The scientists basically found that the bulk of emissions, ranging from 72 to 92%, can be traced back to human activity like burning fossil fuels, industrial output, vehicle exhaust as well. The rest, they said, comes from natural processes like soil re-emission and sunlight-driven reactions. Mercury is not just any other pollutant. Very important. The World Health Organization lists it among the top 10 chemical threats to global health. Long-term exposure can damage the nervous system, lungs, kidneys. While the concentrations recorded in Delhi remain below the WHO's official danger thresholds, as per the report, the chronic exposure levels are higher than most urban centers worldwide. And the air quality concern does not stop with mercury, by the way. A separate study last month found the presence of microplastics in Delhi's air across all major particulate categories. It found that Delhi residents inhale nearly twice as many microplastic particles in summer than in winter, with the daily exposure rising almost 97% during the hotter months. The study warned that constant exposure to microplastics could lead to increased cases of bronchitis, pneumonia, lung inflammation, even cancer. Together, these studies paint quite a grim picture. Delhi's pollution crisis is growing more complex, more dangerous. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.